Modern Monday.
What I like about Kevin Smith movies is that you never know what to expect. Every movie he makes is so different than the last. Whether you like the movie or not, there's always a reason to keep coming back because you might like the next one. Red State was his first horror film, and I thought it was really good for the most part. Then when I heard he was doing another horror film, Tusk, I was interested, but I was very skeptical over the idea. It's about a guy who gets turned into a walrus. How is that going to work? The idea started with Kevin and company joking around on his podcast, Smodcast. It was in response to a prank ad, and they just made a funny, hypothetical story about it, and then asked fans if they'd be interested in seeing it made into a film. Well, it got made, that's for sure, and surprisingly, I think it came out really good considering how absurd an idea it was. The plot is about a podcaster, Wallace, played by Justin Long. He basically makes fun of people who are the subject of viral videos. There's a video of a kid who accidentally chops off his leg with a sword, and Wallace and his partner Teddy, played by Harry Joel Osment, ridicule the poor kid and laugh about it. So right off the bat, Wallace is made into the guy you're supposed to hate, a cold, heartless character with no sympathy or remorse. He takes it a step further when he goes on a trip to Manitoba, Canada, to exploit the kid face to face. But the kid commits suicide before he arrives, and Wallace is really bummed out. Not because the kid committed suicide, but because he didn't get to do his show and flew to Manitoba for no reason. So you can tell right away this is one of those stories about a horrible person who's going to get what they deserve. While in Manitoba, looking for a new subject, he finds an ad from an oceanic adventurer named Howard who's retired and is offering a free room in return for the opportunity to pass on his stories to someone. So Wallace heads over and has lengthy conversations with him. Howard, played by Michael Parks, tells him a story about how a walrus saved his life after being shipwrecked. Things take a turn when Howard puts something in Wallace's tea that makes him pass out. He wakes up to find that Howard has amputated his leg. It almost seems like an appropriate punishment for the way he treated the boy earlier, but it's more like a coincidence because what happens next, Howard removes more limbs and surgically reorients the bones and flesh in a way that begins to make him into a walrus. And once you get that reveal, my oh my, holy shit, I don't know whether to laugh or what. I'm confused. This is a film of all kinds of tonal shifts, but this is the most drastic shift of them all. The walrus costume is so strangely funny, but also so horribly disturbing. Somehow his face is able to emote so much pain through all the prosthetics and makeup. I like how the longer you see it, the more you start to notice ears and bits of other body parts stitched and patched all over it. Wouldn't that suck? If you were going to get turned into a walrus, couldn't it at least be a perfectly normal walrus, not a stitched up, bleeding bag of shit? The whole thing kind of reminds me of Human Centipede and the Fly remake. Also a little of Misery with somebody being captured. One of the scariest parts to me is when he's forced to swim, and while he's underwater he sees the skeletal remains of other possible failed experiments. This is a film with many long scenes. That could be a bad thing, except when you have such great actors. Michael Parks and Jason Long are both excellent. I like how they give Howard some kind of strange motive for turning Wallace into a walrus. He wants to relive the experience he had with the walrus that saved him. While living on an island, he had to eat the walrus to stay alive. But it was his friend, so he wants to give the walrus a second chance. So he makes another walrus human flesh costume for himself and engages in mortal combat with Wallace. The least interesting scenes follow his girlfriend who's cheating on him with his podcast partner Teddy. They find out he's in trouble, so they go on a search which brings them to an investigator played by Johnny Depp who's hunting Howard. He's the Van Helsing or Dr. Loomis. With a big star like that in a low-budget film, well, $3 million I think, but that's extremely low for major Hollywood standards. But anyway, in a film with this kind of budget, you'd think Johnny Depp would be the highlight. He's not, for me at least. His acting comes off as sort of an exaggerated caricature. I don't know, just doesn't do it for me. One thing I didn't get was that there's a beverage that appears all over the film. Wallace, especially, is always drinking it. I'm sure there's a reason, but I don't know what it is. I imagine it's similar to the Cornetto ice cream in the Edgar Wright trilogy with Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. Likewise, this is part of a trilogy called the True North trilogy. I have yet to see the others. From what I understand, Yoga Hosers is out, and coming next is Moose Jaws. Yeah, Moose Jaws. One more thing I didn't like was the non-linear Christopher Nolan-esque editing where it jumps back and forth in time. I think that style only works for certain kinds of films. It depends. Overall, Tusk is not perfect by any means, but I find it to be fascinating. It holds my attention completely. Kevin Smith has said with less money to work with, it results in a more original film. You could take more risks. Lots of times you get silly movie ideas in your head. I have thousands that all go to waste. We all know that not every idea should be made into a film, but sometimes, why the hell not?